पूर्वक नाम गाननति भी कालावसानिकृतं निद्राहार विहार कादि विदितं चत्तन्तं दीनं च यं गोपी भावरसाम कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण
And all glories to the devotees who are committed to the process of devotional service under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And I do want to commend you all. See, we have already 21 people here at the beginning of the program, and it usually expands as the program goes on and people remember that there is an opportunity to hear the philosophy of Krishna consciousness from the original unedited books of Srila Prabhupada, and they join us. But I want to commend all of you for being participants because you're showing by your actions your seriousness to make advancement in spiritual life, which is the goal of human life. A lot of people, they talk, yes. Prajalpa niramagraha, useless conversation. They talk. And it's a great pastime of the living entity to babble on, like the water flowing down the stream to the ocean. It's babbling. So people talk so much nonsense. You probably see that around the people you're with. I don't mean the devotee people, but people that you meet in this world. You try to cultivate them in Krishna consciousness. You work on it, but they babble on. I was speaking to a friend of mine yesterday, and she's a pharmacist. She calls me up, and all she does is complain about how miserable her life is. And I said to her, because I was listening to a lecture of Prabhupada, and he was talking about stress, distress. Everyone is unhappy. There is no happiness in this world. It's just an appearance of happiness. And Prabhupada is explaining it very succinctly in this lecture. So when I mentioned to this person, you seem to always be in stress. What do you mean? How do you mean, Vishva Karma, that you say that? Why do you say that? Because every time we speak together, you're talking to me about how miserable your life is. So here's the point. You judge a person by their speech, in a sense, but ultimately you judge them by their actions. Well, action is a reflection of the state of mind a person is in, and then how they speak reveals it to you. So, a fool, Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavad Gita, a fool can pretend to be intelligent, but when they speak, they reveal how lost they really are. Even with many devotees, we see that. It's quite interesting. I had an in-depth conversation this week with a devotee that I've known on and off for over 25 years. And somehow or other, due to false ego, he still cannot understand what is this philosophy of Krishna consciousness. What is the difference between Vani and Vapu? Very significant. And Prabhupada explains that some people have capacity for understanding Krishna consciousness and others don't. And senior devotee doesn't mean by age or time. It means capacity. What is your capacity to understand this philosophy? And this is based on your sincerity of purpose. It is. People that are innocent, people that are eager to learn, are serious about this process. They can understand it, Vijaya Pandit, in a minute. It doesn't take them 50 years and still stay confused. So senior devotee does not mean by age. Senior devotee does not mean that they had association with Prabhupada personally. Senior devotee means someone who is humble, who is eager to learn this philosophy in association with like-minded devotees. Birds of the same feather flock together. Yes. And so many people in this world these days are flocked together around frauds, cheaters, because for some reason or other, this seems to be more attractive to them than the truth. Because the truth will set us free, and the mistruth continues to entangle people in the bewilderment of material life. And it goes on and on and on. I was just looking at a picture of one of my godbrothers, a so-called senior devotee. It's a recent picture that just came out. Now, he's physically deformed, very deformed. He wears saffron clothes, and he has all kinds of followers, tens of thousands of them. But I thought to myself, thank you, Krishna, for giving us good health, for giving us an understanding of this philosophy based on truth. And would I want to change positions with this person? Not in a million years. And especially seeing the condition he's in, his face, they spent millions of dollars on trying to keep this person alive because he has a large bank balance. So he's able to carry on in this totally encumbered state. And it's self-evident, but can people understand why? No. Why can't they understand? Because they're also bewildered. He is bewildered, they are bewildered. And this is once birds of a feather flock together. All this kind of insanity. So we've moved into a very unfortunate state of confusion, and very few people really understand the difference between Vani and Vapu and the value of Vani. It's so simple, really, if you think about it. Like, for example, the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego. Is that Vapu? Well, it's not blood, pus, stool, and urine. It is the subtle body. How does the subtle body get information? By sign language? No, it gets it by hearing and chanting, through this oral reception through the ear. One's spiritual existence becomes vitalized, nourished through the sound. We're going to hear that today when Yashodanandana does those beautiful verses at the beginning of the class, Srinvatam Swakata Krishna. All the inauspicious things come through sound. That's what invokes our transcendental realization, nothing else. Not sign language. Or Vapu. Oh, I saw the person's body. That is absolutely absurd. And just see how insane these people are that preach this. They have no idea of the meaning of yoga, the transcendental science of sound vibration, that Prabhupada lives in sound and his disciples live with him. There is no other way. There is no other way except confusion based on illusion, based on false prestige and material desire. And that's what they are involved in. It is pathetic. And it is a tragedy, Prabhus. It's a great tragedy. And we are working together. We'll move forward with the readings from the diary now. But I wanted to express that to all of you, that it's commendable that you're coming to these programs. Commendable. Of course, there is some thanks because it's helping, but it's your effort to understand spiritual life that is the real success of this program. Your effort. And then you take this information that we share 3 times a week here, 4.5 hours. And we're getting a lot of recognition for the program, but we're not doing much. All we're doing is presenting the philosophy as it is, without any adulteration. All we're doing is making an effort to share this information as a devotional service to please our spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We're not doing much. We're reading his books, but it's being celebrated by others, and we do appreciate that. We have tens of thousands of views on Hare Krishna Society, YouTube, and you can go back and refer to the old classes. You'll see the program has evolved moving forward. And we will continue to try to improve it. I wanted to ask a few of you if you know how to work with the Zoom application, that we are looking for some people to help us with the presentation of these shows, and who are interested in helping us produce these shows as a devotional service for the benefit of humanity. Please let us know. Get a hold of Yashodanandana Prabhu or myself. We're looking for someone to help us with these classes. It's very important. And number 2, remember, we have a Vyas Puja book that we're publishing. One of our godbrothers is taking the time and effort to do that. He spends a lot of time helping us, Vinkat Bhatta, and along with his multiple responsibilities. And we need to share those duties with other devotees that are participating. So if you have an aptitude for this, and you have an interest in being a part of this effort that we're making using the social media, YouTube platform for preaching, please get in touch with us. So do make your offering to the Vyas Puja. We are looking for people to be active in this devotional activity that we are progressing on with as long as we can. So we're going to go now to this very inspiring reading of Jaladuta Diaries. And Rupesh Prabhu, who's in India, is helping us. And thank you, Rupesh, very much, along with Venkat Bhatta. But we do need 3 or 4 people to be eager to help us. This is important, very important. And it's always on my mind. That's why I'm always asking people to step up. So unfortunately, we're not getting much response, but what can you do? All we can do is try. So this is Tuesday, August 7th, 1965. Now, it's interesting to note, Prabhupada has just passed these tragic days of his heart attack. And it was a very serious time. And you'll see in these following writings of his, how his disposition changes. He's so affected in a certain way by that incident. It's a traumatic. It's like the near-death experience. So he comes out in the writing here, and I'll read it, and then you can just feel the energy, the spiritual intensity of his realizations. So it's Tuesday, the 7th of August. Remember, Prabhupada's going to arrive in America in Boston on the 17th. So there's 10 more days of journey on the ship. So today is Bara Dwadasi observed, the best atmospheric condition on the Mediterranean Sea. All along we have seen the Algerian coast. And if you can't really see over here on the 7th, they've left out some things here. So we'll have to rewrite that. Wednesday the 8th, today at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and near about Gibraltar, we had a first experience of fog impediment. It was all dark around the ship, and she stopped moving completely. She was whistling now, and then to protect herself from other unseen ships being collided with, we started at about 11 again. 8/9/65, at about 2:30 p.m., we passed over Gibraltar port, ending at Tarita Lighthouse. The other side is Spanish Morocco. There is a regular ferry steamer service. The gap is wide, about 7 miles across, and we are in the Atlantic. Thursday, August 9th. Till 4 o'clock afternoon, we've crossed over the Atlantic Ocean for 24 hours. The whole day was clear and almost smooth. I'm taking my food regularly and got some strength to struggle. There is slight lurching of the ship, and I'm feeling slight headache also, but I'm struggling. And the nectarine of life is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the source of my all vitality. Friday the 10th of August. Today the ship is plying very smoothly. I feel today better, but I'm feeling separation of Sri Vrindavan and my Lord's Sri Govinda Gopinath Radha Damodar. The only solace is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in which I'm tasting the nectarine of Lord Chaitanya's Leela. I have left Bharata Bhumi just to execute the order of Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in pursuance of Lord Chaitanya's order. I have no qualification. I've taken up the risk just to carry out the order of His divine grace. I depend fully on their mercy so far away from Vrindavan. Prabhupada's on his own. Today the ship ran on very smoothly. This is Saturday the 11th. The sky was clear and there was sunshine all day. At about 7:30 in the morning, we passed on the Azores Group Islands under the Portugal Republic. There was again rehearsal for lifeboat saving at 4:30 p.m. There was rehearsal of the fire brigades also. At night, there was profuse moonlight on the ocean and considerable lurching also, but did not affect me very much as it used to do in the Arabian Sea. The Atlantic Ocean is more kind to me than all other seas so far we have crossed over. It is all Lord Krishna's grace. And on the 12th, so today there's a great deal of lurching, although the sky is clear. Mrs. Pandya, although a little lady but very intelligent and learned, she has foretold about my future, thanks to her predictions. All blessings of Lord Krishna for her. The crisis which I suppose to have crossed is already mentioned by her. If I had crossed the crisis, then that is goodwill of Lord Krishna, my friend and philosopher. In the evening, there was too much lurching and I felt a bit of seasickness. I could not take my food properly. A little sweets were accepted and with some relish. The lurching continued all midnight. And we're going to go to Monday the 13th. So moving along. Today is the 32nd day of our journey from Calcutta. After midnight yesterday, the lurching decreased and I felt relief. In the morning also, I could not take my breakfast properly. Then I cooked bhati chachari. It appeared to be delicious, and I was able to take some food. Today I've disclosed my mind to my companion, Lord Sri Krishna. There is a Bengali poem made by me today in this connection at about 11. There is still little lurching. The captain tells that they have never had such calmness of the Atlantic. I said it is Lord Krishna's mercy. His wife asked me to come back again with them so they may have again a calm Atlantic Ocean. If Atlantic would have shown his usual face, perhaps I would have died. But Lord Krishna has taken charge of the ship. And on the 14th, today is the 33rd day of our journey, and at 3 o'clock in the morning I saw the sky cloudy with dim moonlight. From the morning till 1 o'clock the sky remained cloudy, and at 1:30 p.m. there was a shower of rain. The sky is still cloudy and the wind is blowing from southeast corner and raining at intervals. The whole day passed in that way, and the wind assumed a paracyclonic face with dense cloud resulting in rain till 9:30 p.m. with regular lightning, etc. Very frightening. At 10 o'clock when I was talking in the captain's room, the chief engineer, Mr. Travers, told me that he had never such experience of calm and quietness of the Atlantic Ocean. There was always typhoon, cyclone, fog, etc., at least for days in every trip in the past. I said it is Lord Krishna's grace. If such things as usual in Atlantic would have taken place, I would die. Wednesday the 15th. Today, the 34th day of our journey. As usual, I rise up at 3 a.m. And when I went to the veranda, I saw the sky almost clear. There was moonshine on head, and although the wind from southeast was strong, the ocean was clear visioned and the ship was passing smoothly. At about 11 a.m., the sky again became cast over with cloud, and it is continued till 3 p.m. There were rainfalls at intervals, but after 4 o'clock, the sky became clear, and there was bright sunshine. I was engaged in really reading Kali Adam Leela from Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the prayers by Srimati Naga Patnis and the last appealing prayer by Kaliya. So very, very intimate insight into Srila Prabhupada's journey and the difficulties that he encountered on his mission to serve his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And it's an inspiration for all of us to hear this together this morning at Bhagavad Gita. Let's show the picture, Rupesh, please. Go back. I sent a picture of Prabhupada. No, next page. Is it there? Yeah, slide up, please. Look at that. There's Prabhupada, very humble, aboard the Jaladuta. And slide down, I'll just read it, just a few days before his 70th birthday. A determined Srila Prabhupada mounted the gangway of the cargo ship Jaladuta and took his first steps of his journey on as Krishna's emissary to the West. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and his tremendous journey on the Jaladuta to America to continue the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We're going to move forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna, or the Bhajan Jaya Radha Madhava, and then the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, reading and discussion, led by His Grace and one of our favorite devotees on the planet, Yashodanandana Prabhu. All glories to the Sankirtan movement.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. From Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Tato Jayam Mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Naranarayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. As we do every week, we will be reciting a few Sanskrit verses which were introduced by Srila Prabhupada in 1966, along with the appropriate translations. Before we begin, it should be pointed out that this reading and discussion is based upon the original 1972 Macmillan edition, the non-adulterated, non-edited original edition, and all synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam dadati svapadantikam. When will Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brothers Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadada, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostuti. O my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Again, welcome to everyone to this reading and discussion. This week we will be reading from chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita, text number 35 and 36. Text 35. Sanjaya Uvacha Etat Shrutva Vachanam Keshavasya Kritanjalira Vepamana Kiriti Namaskritva Bhuya Evaha Krishnam Sagadgadam Bita Pranamya. Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya said, Etat, thus, Shrutva, hearing, Vachanam, speech, Keshavasya, of Krishna, Kritanjalihi, with folded hands, Vepamanaha, trembling, Kiriti, Arjuna namaskritva, offering obeisances. Bhuyaha, again. Eva also, aha Krishnam, said unto Krishna, Sagad Gadam, faltering, Bita Bitaha, fearful, Pranamya, offering obeisances. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna trembled, fearfully offered obeisances with folded hands, and began falteringly to speak as follows. Purport. As we have already explained, because of the situation created by the universal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna became bewildered in wonder. Thus, he began to offer his respectful obeisances to Krishna again and again, and with faltering voice he began to pray, not as a friend, but as a devotee in wonder. Text number 36. Arjuna vacha stani rishikesha tava prakirtya jagat prarishyati anurajyate cha raksham shibitani dishudravanti sarve namasyanti cha siddha sangha. Arjuna vacha, Arjuna said, Stane, rightly, Rishikesha, O master of all senses, Tava, your, Prakirtya, glories, Jagat, the entire world, Prarishyati, rejoicing, Anurajyate, becoming attached, Rakshamsi, the demons, Bitani, out of fear, Dishaha, directions, Dravanti, fleeing, Sarve, all, Namashyanti, offering respect, Cha, also, Siddhasanga, the perfect human beings. Translation. O Rishikesha, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid, and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna, after hearing from Krishna about the outcome of the Battle of Kurukshetra, became an enlightened devotee of the Supreme Lord. He admitted that everything done by Krishna is quite fit. Arjuna confirmed that Krishna is the maintainer and the object of worship for the devotees and the destroyer of the undesirables. His actions are equally good for all. Arjuna understood herein that when the battle of Kurukshetra was being concluded, in outer space there were present many demigods, siddhas, and the intelligentsia of the higher planets, and they were observing the fight because Krishna was present there. When Arjuna saw the universal form of the Lord, the demigods took pleasure in it, but others, who were demons and atheists, could not stand it when the Lord was praised. Out of their natural fear of the devastating form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they fled. Krishna's treatment of the devotees and atheists is praised by Arjuna. In all cases, a devotee glorifies the Lord because he knows that whatever he does is good for all. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Bhagavad Vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataham Adadana Danteridam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimadrupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadasu Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shatakaromisvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a very interesting statement by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, where he described Bhadra Abhadra Sakala Manodharma, that to consider something good or bad or auspicious and inauspicious, these are all mental speculation. And we see in the material world, so many people are confused. Just like Vishwakarma Prabhu was referring to a friend who was basically discussing with him, and he pointed out to her that you seem to be perturbed, you seem to be distressed, unhappy. But this is the condition in the material world. Dukkalayam asaspatam. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains the fact. It is not simply some nonsense idea. It is a fact. It is temporary and it is miserable. Yesterday we had to come back from Northern California. We attended a meeting with Bhakta Ram from Sacramento. And basically there was a big, massive accident on the freeway. Well, as everybody knows, in North America or Europe, when they have accidents, everything slows down. They may have a car or a truck that can go 80 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. But when the traffic doesn't move, that truck won't do much. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to go bumper to bumper for a couple hours. It is a miserable condition. No one wants that. But it is imposed upon us by the laws of material nature. And that is why the Bhagavad Gita is so important. It gives us the knowledge. It gives us the transcendental insight of how to understand, how to live our lives so we can come out of this cycle of suffering and difficult situation. Anybody can hear Bhagavad Gita. Anybody can understand Bhagavad Gita. It is not complicated. It is the direct message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Recently, I was listening to a lecture where Prabhupada said, Muhammad is the prophet of God, Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and Krishna is God. Many persons from other religious backgrounds will not accept that Krishna is God, but we do. Based on the Bhagavad Gita, based on his activities when he came to this planet 5,000 years ago, there's plenty of evidence of the historical fact of Lord Krishna's personality. And here in the Bhagavad Gita, it's quite important to understand. Prabhupada says, his actions are equally good for all. Prabhupada says in the last sentence, Krishna's treatment of the devotees and the atheists is praised by Arjuna. In all cases, a devotee glorifies the Lord because he knows that whatever he does is good for all. Some less intelligent persons sometime will accuse Krishna or accuse God that he's partial. That if there is a God, why is there so much suffering? That's like saying, well, if there's a government, why is there a prison house where there's so much suffering? There is a prison house because there will always be a class of men that will disobey the laws of the government. Always. In all countries, in every society. Similarly, in the material world, the living entities who choose to disobey the laws of God, to become independent of the laws of God, not to follow the laws of God, there is this suffering. That's why we're in this material world. How is this suffering manifested? Janma mrityu jara vyadi, birth, death, old age and suffering and death, old age and disease. So these four conditions are there. It is imposed upon everyone. No one can say, oh, I'm a rich man, I'm not going to have to suffer. It doesn't work like that. Every living entity in the material world is subject to these different miseries. It is also manifested in three different ways. One is called adhyatma klesha, miseries due to oneself, his own body. Another one, adhibautika klesha, klesha means misery, miseries due to other living entities which can cause trouble, animals, insects, envious human beings, and adhidaivika klesha, or miseries due to the influence of the demigods. Just like recently in California, there was a heat wave where the heat was very, very hard. In some places, it reached 112, 115 Fahrenheit. So this is something that we cannot do anything about. This is imposed upon us by the influence of the material nature. And the only way to escape this problem is to take shelter of Krishna and the pure devotee of Krishna. This is not simply sentiment. This is fact, as described by Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. That is why great personalities like Srila Prabhupada, great acharyas and spiritual teachers, great prophets, great empowered personalities come from time to time to deliver the message by which one can become free from this material entanglement and this material world. And this knowledge is there. It is available. Simply one has to hear it without distortion, without personal motivation, without twisting and speculation. We see that some persons, even though they hear the message for 45 or 50 years, they still do not get it. They still do not understand because of personal motivation. Personal motivation is the biggest enemy of any practitioner, of any devotee. Prabhupada described in a letter in July of 1970, as soon as there is personal motivation, it is not possible to understand our Krishna consciousness philosophy. This philosophy can only be understood when one is beyond this desire for name, fame, power, position, profit, adoration, distinction, so many nonsensical, material, trivial desires. One has to take full shelter of Krishna under the instruction of the Acharya And then gradually one will feel the relief from the influence of the material energy. This is the path that has been given by Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, the chief disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are also known as the Rupa Anuga Sampradaya, or followers of Rupa Goswami. But one should not be fooled. There are many imposters and pretenders. They're part of the Rupi Anuga Sampradaya. They simply want to make money in the name of being a devotee. You can recognize those. They're not difficult to recognize. One has to learn the distinction between the two to become a bona fide, genuine Rupa Anuga, follower of Rupa Goswami through Srila Prabhupada, the current bona fide representative of Rupa Goswami. And be aware of the members of the Rupi Anuga Sampradaya. They will mislead, they will cheat and bluff. They will never engage in a sane, Brahmanical, proper discussion. Madmen. Just like sometimes you go down the street and a madman will come. He's talking to himself. He doesn't make any sense, and he's talking. He's thinking that he is very, very important. So one has to distinguish between the sane, sober, intelligent, cool-headed persons who are bona fide followers of Srila Prabhupada and the bluffers and pretenders, the posers. Just be aware to whom it may concern. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Discussion, as you were mentioning, this misery of life can happen without any warning. And there are threefold miseries: those caused by other living entities, those caused by the material nature, and those caused by one's own body and mind. So these miseries can happen without warning. And this is how the material world works. Padam padam vipadam natesham. There's danger at any step in life. Like you were mentioning about the accident yesterday on the highway, Yashodanandana Prabhu, how without notice, the accident comes, and maybe someone died, maybe one was seriously injured, and in this way, their life is affected, and in some ways affected by others, affected with others. Yes, like you were delayed in the highway, Maya Sukhaya, so much convenience, and then at the same time, so much inconvenience goes on in this world. So misery can come without notice, yes. And I was looking at some, Nilesh, I was looking at some pictures of the place in BC known as Saranagati. Now, this was started some years ago by some of my godbrothers. I think it was Bahudak and Rochan, and subsequently Balakrishna. And this was an idea that they had. Bahudak decided to buy something out in a remote part of BC. I think it's 4 or 5 hours away from Vancouver. It's quite a distance in the mountains. And at the time, it was totally protected, sort of like a haven of defense against, say, possible nuclear war. Some people think, well, it'll go away. to the country. And then if the nuclear war comes, it won't get me. But the fact of the matter is, this particular situation that evolved there is most tragic. But just think about it. They just had a major forest fire. And a part of their community, after 35 years or 40 years, has become destroyed by forest fire. So their so-called protection wasn't there. Now, we know in the prayers to the spiritual masters, samsara davan lada lida lokas taranaya karunya ganat ganat cham praptasya kalyunya ganarnavasha bande guru sri Charanaravindam. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the oceans of mercy. Just as clouds pour water on a forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is an ocean of auspicious qualities. So, as you know, in a forest fire, it's very difficult to put it out. Prabhupada was explaining that in a lecture yesterday to me, that no matter how hard, like they have some crews that come out and try to stem the influence of the forest fire, but it's not possible. Depending on the intensity of the forest, they can fly those little helicopters over and put the rain. They do something, they do the best they can. But ultimately, the forest fire rages without control. It's out of control. So the material world's like that. Padam padam vipadam natesham. There's unlimited misery, and misery can, and just see the influence Yashoda of Kali Yuga. In America here now, I'm in Canada, of course, but in America, they have a new person that's come forward to as was the vice president, and now she's come forward to become the competitor for the presidency in America. And what is her platform, Bhaktijad? What's one of the main points of her platform which is gaining votes for her? She's the queen of abortion. The queen of abortion. Women's rights. Women have a right to do this. What is this insanity? Yesterday they had an opening for the World Olympics. It's quite a intricate performance. And one of the features of the performance was inclusivity. Inclusivity. What does that mean? It means that it doesn't matter if you're a transgender, it doesn't matter if you're a gay, it doesn't matter what you believe in. Everything is inclusive. Totally demoniac. And the people, they eat anything. They eat the hamburger. They eat the hot dog here in Canada at the Blue Jays games here in Toronto. They have Tuesday $1 hot dog. And then they have a record for it. Oh, we sold 50,000 hot dogs yesterday. Completely insane. Animal slaughter, killing in the womb, all kinds of sinful activity going on in the name of inclusivity. Do whatever you want, be demoniac, it's okay, that's the way you feel, just express yourself, don't feel any restriction. This is Kali Yuga at a very advanced stage. And whenever the Kali Yuga, whenever the world becomes overridden with the demons, then Krishna comes to destroy them. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashayata duskritam. One of the most, Nilesh, that's one of the most famous verses in the Bhagavad Gita. All the children in India, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. These verses, these two verses from the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, reveal to us why Krishna appears and how he might deal with the demons. So when the earth becomes overburdened, like it is truly overburdened. And even just think about how the movement, Prabhupada's beautiful movement, has become infested with all kinds of fraudulent gurus. It's like a cancer. So you see all the Sankirtan activity going on, so-called, but they're distributing change books. They're chanting different mantras. Look at this one fellow, I don't know who he is, but he plays this accordion. No. He dresses up like a clown. He's got a funny hat. Can you imagine Yashodanandana Prabhu, this so-called sannyasi, go in front of Prabhupada in Mayapur Dham? I know when we used to go to Mayapur Dham, it was so ecstatic, so fantastic, so beautiful. But at the same time, it was very serious. Prabhupada had this serious temperament because he had a specific mission when we went there, was to show his godbrothers, show the people in India how the Sankirtan movement was spreading throughout the world with his disciples. Can you imagine this guy showing up on a motorcycle with an accordion and start chanting in front of Prabhupada's godbrothers? What kind of chastisement he would get? It's like this Hridayananda, excuse me for saying his name. He's got this new group, Nilesh, called Krishna West. Now this Krishna West, no tilak, no neck beads, no japa beads, no sannyasi clothes, no danda, no sika, nothing. I challenged him. I challenge you, if you went to Prabhupada in 1974 to his room in Mayapur and showed up like that, how would you be dealt with? So these people, they pretend that Prabhupada is not living. Prabhupada is alive. Krishna is alive. This is a transcendental dynamic movement, and the behavior of people is being seen by Krishna and Prabhupada every day. And in this way, you'll be subjected to the laws of karma. This is not some kind of cheap thing. So, the blazing fire of material existence is there. The difficulties of life are there. And we are preparing, all of us, every week, through the process of sadhana, through the process of hearing and chanting, to go back home, back to Godhead by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Yashodanandana Prabhu, if you could further comment.
Are raising some very important points. Very important points. We see that every single sentence that Prabhupada writes has deep meaning. Prabhupada used to often say, even if they touch the book, they will benefit. Even if they read one sentence out of the book, one word out of the book, they will benefit. And as devotees, it is up to us to use our intelligence to comprehend, to try to comprehend what is Prabhupada trying to teach us. This is very important. Just yesterday, we had a very nice morning class with Bhakta Ram, and we were discussing with a devotee named Jai Narayana, an older devotee from Santa Barbara, California. about the standards during Prabhupada's manifested presence during his living time, comparing to the current standards. And the point was being made that Prabhupada is given the perfect standard, the actual perfect, complete standard for anybody to follow anywhere in the world. It is not something very difficult to follow. It only becomes difficult when there are false interpretations. When people manufacture different interpretations, then there is a big problem. Just like if we take, excuse me, if you take, for example, this particular verse that we're dealing with, Stani Rishikesha Tava Prakirtya, and you look in the Prabhupada folio or the Vanipedia, there are so many conversations where Srila Prabhupada is explaining the same verse from so many different angles. Now, right now, we don't have Jiva Goswamis or Sanatan Goswamis or Narottam Das Thakur or Vishwanath Chakravarti's explanation of so many of these verses. It's there in their writing. But you just think they must have spoken so many classes, so many discussions on so many verses. With Srila Prabhupada, it's quite unique that we have various conversations, various lectures, so many different explanations. And it's amazing to see the richness, the variety of examples and explanations from Srila Prabhupada from so many different angles of vision. And this devotee, Jai Narayana, made a point that in the beginning, when people came, we were taught that we should read the books and discuss everything from all angles of vision. Nowadays, you try to discuss something, you either get beat in the head, you get kicked out, you get driven away, or you get the deer in the headlight look. That is not the way that Srila Prabhupada gave. I just want to read from a conversation very briefly here. This is a morning walk conversation in Bombay, India on April 5th, 1974. April 5th, 1974 in Bombay, Dr. Patel. Consult your Atma within in action. Prabhupada, yes. Therefore, to receive the order of Krishna, Tadvijnanartam Sagurumeva Abhigachet. Mundaka Upanishad 1-12. One should approach the bona fide representative of Krishna and take order from him what to do. And that is his only duty. That is his only duty. Otherwise, he will manufacture so many duties. That will not be helpful to him. That Nishtayatmika Buddhi, that has been very nicely explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that whatever order I receive from my guru, that is my life and soul. I don't mind whether I'll be liberated or not, whether I'll be successful or not. That is not my concern. My only concern is to see whether I'm factually, faithfully carrying out the order of my guru. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur notes. So these things are being explained in the same way, that you do not think which is right or wrong. You simply have asked you to fight. You go on fighting and take the credit. That's all. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, to work as a servant of Krishna and Srila Prabhupada and not think you're entitled to the results, but you're entitled to the service. Simply do. And in this way, you can please Srila Prabhupada with your service. I wanted to move to the panel for discussion with our group, and we will get to all of you. Let's call on Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. I see he's online with us. And let him share some of his insights. And then we'll go to Nilesh Sharma and a few other devotees that are present with us on a regular basis here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association Bhagavad Gita as it is class. Dharma Bhavana, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Yeah, I'm over at Mahesh's house now, so we're attending this on my phone plus on his computer. It was interesting that Yashodanandan and yourself, Vishwakarma, were both mentioning how this material world is such a dangerous place, and we hear and see other people with tornadoes and earthquakes and fires, and we don't know what'll happen to us. We may have some kind of severe problem today, tomorrow, and sometimes there's a tendency to think, "Oh, I'm glad these things are happening to other people, not to me." But surely, whatever our situation is, Krishna's told us this world is so much full of danger. We should be very much appreciative if we have good health so that we can chant the holy names and associate with devotees. And just be aware that this material world is always something wrong with it, so that we don't take shelter of material thinking. That's all. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Neela Shama in where are you? In Fort Lauderdale or
Lauderdale,
Miami today?
Florida. Fort
Pardon?
Lauderdale, Florida. Fort
Okay, you're
Lauderdale,
there.
Florida.
Please.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Very interesting points which were made throughout this whole last 1 hour. I think Dharma Bhavana Prabhupada, there's a lot of feedback.
Must be something with your connection.
There's feedback. You might have two microphones on. There's feedback.
I think we need to mute everybody. Except one person. Hare Krishna.
Let's there's quite a bit of feedback. Oh, it stopped now. Must be something with your connection, possibly. Have you got another
Can you hear me now?
device? Have you got another
No,
device?
there's no other device. No, there's no other device.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, without feedback. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, nothing from my side. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Very interesting hour. I just wanted to share some points which I was kind of jotting down as I was listening. You were reading from Jaladuta Diaries about that famous incident where Mrs. Pandya, the captain's wife, was asking Srila Prabhupada, can you accompany us back so that we can have a nice journey across the Atlantic? Now, understand, we need a little bit of intelligence to understand who we are talking to and what we are asking from that person who's capable of giving us what. Now, imagine people who have associated with Srila Prabhupada on a very personal basis have not understood Srila Prabhupada. Just like Mrs. Pandya, she is thinking about crossing back the Atlantic peacefully. But what is she talking when we talk about the entire Bhavasagar, the ocean of nescience which needs to be crossed? Prabhupada can help us cross this ocean of nescience. Forget Atlantic. How big is Atlantic? Nothing at all. But for that, we need a little bit of intelligence to understand. Yashodanandan Prabhu was saying, a lot of people don't understand this. After years of being in the movement. Yes, why? Because Maya aparita jnana. Maya, Krishna's illusory energy, what has it done? Aparita jnana. Kidnapped. Kidnap what? Jnana, the intelligence of this particular person. So to understand this, we need to realize what we need to ask from Srila Prabhupada. Here we are writing all this offerings for Vyas Puja Day. Everybody is trying to understand what Prabhupada has given to him. Now, are we going to be one of those people like Mrs. Pandya or like these gurus who are attracted to the material aspect of what Prabhupada was getting? A lot of adorations, a lot of profit, a lot of distinction. This is what they got attracted to. They did not get attracted to what Prabhupada can truly give us. You see, that is why Yashodanand Prabhu was saying that many people will not accept Krishna as God, especially the followers of Muhammad or followers of Jesus. Why? Because we are sentimentally attached to them. Because we think that how can our parents be wrong? How can somebody else be wrong? We are not true seekers of truth. If we were truly seekers of truth, then so many of them would become Haridas Thakur. Namacharya Haridas Thakur, who was coming from a Muslim background. So we need to understand that all these things requires a little bit of intelligence. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Buddhimatam Buddhi, I am the intelligence of the intelligent. But what kind of intelligence is very important. Then the third point, which we were talking about, this heat wave, which everybody is experiencing all over the world going around. Imagine if we were to having Vedic leaders like the Pandavas, like Yudhishthir Maharaj, would we have these kinds of extreme situations? No. Why are these extreme situations imposed upon us? Like we were giving the example of this Sharanagati village, which got devastated in the forest fire. Now remember, why do these perils come to us? What is the purpose behind these perils? Because remember, everything has a purpose. What is this purpose? To shake us up, to wake us up. You do not belong here. You do not belong to this material world. You belong somewhere else. And who will take us? That Tattva Darshinaha. So let us come back to the last point. If we were to read the so-called current books of ISKCON, that because they have seen the truth, the Tattva Darshinahas. Now, if they have seen the truth, and if we have read the Nectar of Devotion, where Rupa Goswami tells us that once you experience this truth, it is like getting an ocean of happiness. There is no material happiness which can ever attract you back away from that transcendental happiness. So if you're truly a Tattva Darshinaha, then would you go after Rupi Anugas? Would you become a Rupi Anuga? Would you go after cheap adorations? From who? From conditioned souls also. Not even from realized souls. Imagine if you want to become that great of a preacher, become like Sukdev Goswami, where wherever you enter, the realized souls of the universe will stand up in your honor to welcome you. The conditioned souls will throw stones at you. The conditioned souls will ridicule you, like how Sukdev Goswami was ridiculed. But the moment he came into the knowledgeable, truly knowledgeable audience, everybody respected him. So what good is this adoration from conditioned souls? And your last point I wanted to mention about the Olympics, which you were talking about, where all inclusiveness is coming in. Remember, we are in Kali Yuga. As the Kali Yuga is progressing, the line between right and wrong is getting more and more obscured. We are getting more and more obscurity. We don't know what is right, what is wrong. We start now getting confused about what things are. Even we challenge the very process of where does life begin? Life begins at conception. And even this point, we are not clear about it. So imagine if we miss this boat, where Srila Prabhupada is our captain, where he can take us across this Bhavasagar. Imagine what is in store for us in our next lives. Imagine when we come back with this Kali Yuga, what kind of obscurity will we have to deal with, where we are totally confused about what is right and wrong, and then how can we purify ourselves? So Krishna will come only as Kalki, and all he'll do is just slaughter us because we are so no good for nothing. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm going to get Yashoda to comment, but I wanted to further state that what happens if someone speaks up against these current trends? They're censored. This censorship is going on now where the truth cannot be spoken for fear of imprisonment, even for fear of lawsuits. So people are losing all of their rights by the corrupt governments that are operating this world. We don't have great kings, spiritual leaders. We have demoniac people leading this society, Nilesh. Very demoniac. Some people will say to us, well, are you a conservative or a liberal? Are you a Republican or a Democrat? Well, my answer to them is, I'm none of these things. We are Vaishnavas. We are not Brahmins, we are not Kshatriyas, we are not Vaishyas, we are not Sudras. We are Vaishnavas. That is our training from Srila Prabhupada. That means devotee of Krishna, eternal servant of God. And the more we act on that platform, the more we become liberated from these material conceptions, which as insignificant living entities, we're all afflicted with. Yashodanandana Prabhu, maybe you could further enlighten us. Microphone. Your microphone's off.
I know.
Go ahead.
I'm just, okay, here we go.
Go ahead.
I think you're raising a very important point, because Srila Prabhupada envisioned a society in which he wanted devotees to become educated, to become knowledgeable. In 1970, as more and more devotees were coming to the movement, Prabhupada was sending letters to the leaders saying we should boil the milk, we should train the devotees better. Don't be so concerned with new devotees, but train the current devotees. And Prabhupada wrote in a letter, what good are so many devotees if none of them are knowledgeable? In other words, we're trying to be equal to everyone, but this is a process of training. Just like if you go to university, it's not a game, it's not a party time, it's for learning, to become educated, to go to class, to follow the instruction, to write papers, to pass the exams. That's the purpose. Similarly, in our movement, devotees have to become educated as to what the facts are, the proper history, and understand Srila Prabhupada's teachings. What we have now is like different disparate cults, all trying to promote for self-promotion and self-aggrandizement, creating a disturbance in society. We have to be aware of the philosophy. Unless somebody is properly connected with the bona fide acharya, he will not understand philosophy. He will not understand. That is why every time we have a class, I see Krishna Katha Prabhu in San Diego. I've got these Bhagavatam books. Well, this is not simply for show. We're in the process of gathering quotes and making sure these are published. But these books are meant for study, for especially for devotees to read, to become acquainted, to follow, so they can absorb the instruction and give the instruction to others. So this is a very important point, because what we see is a certain mentality with some individuals who never quite grasp the philosophy and the connection with the acharya. It becomes an exploitation arrangement. So one should be very careful and be very aware of such persons. Hare Krishna.
Yes, I agree with you, Yashodanandana Prabhu. It's somehow or other, people read the books, they read these notes, they read these letters of Srila Prabhupada, but they misinterpret them for their own personal purposes. And this is going on without any restriction, based on the principle that they are guru. And you know, guru, the idea, when you become infatuated with the idea that you're in the disciplic succession from Srila Prabhupada, the next bona fide guru, just like we're seeing some new pictures coming out of these murtis that are appearing. There's a murti of Keith Ham. There's a murti of Radhanath already. And people are buying these murtis and they're putting them in their houses. And they're worshiping these murtis on the same level as Srila Prabhupada, when it's very, very obvious that this is a mistake. It's not the right thing. And so as a result, as Nilesh just made, the cheaters and the cheated, this is going on without any restriction by anyone, because they're as good as God. And they're being worshipped by their followers as such. And then thus we see the Kali Yuga is advancing on all levels. And this is a great tragedy. Maybe Krishna Kata, we're just going to finish up here, but give us a few words of his observations of today's classes for us. Krishna Kata
Hare
in San
Hare
Diego.
Krishna, Prabhus, thank you so much for your wonderful insights. There's really nothing to add. I can honestly tell you that this is just one of these classes that, like all of them, that, you know, any kind of realization that I might be able to share is just going to fall way below the bar that you have both set so nicely. So I don't want to contaminate this wonderful class. But I can tell you one thing, though. It is spinning out of control. Prabhupada's beautiful movement. If you're just now revealing today that there is a Murti of Keith Ham, I was at the trial. This man is a 5-time convicted felon. Now let's analyze, and I'll say it again. This man, when he was in his body, became convicted in a federal court in West Virginia for 5 felonies. And these aren't just little business criminal felonies. These are major felonies, index crimes, murder, okay? Child molestation, rape. All of these things are major crimes. So he's somehow or other made it to India. They had some kind of mercy on him. And then he started a movement of his own. And he had followers, and he currently has followers in some city in India. And there's a nice devotee, Gopal Sundar, in Singapore and somewhere in Delhi. And he goes to this village area where Keith Ham started his own movement, and he preaches to them to try to straighten them out and wake them up so that they can finally see the truth about this man. This man also has a samadhi in Vrindavan next to the Radha Govinda temple. I mean, it's just such a farce. It's just so offensive. A 5-time convicted felon. So if anybody's in any illusion that the ISKCON society that Prabhupada gave us has deviated, just take that one example of the Kirtanananda personality. And did he do wonderful things for Prabhupada? Yes, he did. Is he always going to have that in his eternal spiritual bank account? Yes, he will. But that doesn't, for us, we can point a finger, but we can say, if the worship is still going on and a murti is being made, then that tells us everything, how far this deviation has gone. Because these people that are buying this murti, they don't know he's a convicted felon. The scam, right? The truth behind the curtain hasn't been revealed. So these classes that you guys are putting on tells the truth. Yes, we try not to point fingers and mention names, but how do you ignore a man that is a 5-time convicted felon and now he's being worshipped with a murti? That's so wrong. On so many levels, that's just so wrong. Thank you for letting me speak. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone, for
Glory to Prabhupada. Jai.
your participation. It's, as I said, it's commendable because this effort to constantly hear on a weekly basis this philosophy in association with other devotees is part of the process that Srila Prabhupada gave us for developing our dormant love for Krishna. And it will manifest. And as we carry on, 7 days of japa, 7 days of reading and studying on our own and service, and 4.5 hours a week of a chance to come together and listen to these classes and discussions, which are very enlivening, I must say, for all of us. I know that those people that are on like a Prakrita in Montreal never misses the program. He's always here every week. So it's really wonderful to see him and the others. Very inspiring to know that some people are very serious about this process of Krishna consciousness in the Association of Bona Fide Disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Two things. Don't forget to send in your Vyas Puja offering. There's still a few weeks, so please write it this week and get it to us. And we are looking for people to help us to produce these classes and expand their production value for everyone's benefit globally and for future generations as well, as long as the internet and the world that we know still operates as it is. So very valuable service is available for us as devotees of Srila Prabhupada. So thank you, Bhaktijat. It was good to see you in France again today. And we look forward to tomorrow morning, Srimad Bhagavatam class at 10 o'clock, Yashodanandana Prabhu, and we'll read from the diaries and carry on with the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Let's go forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna with our group, along with Srila Prabhupada from the 60s, along with the bongo drum that he's playing. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks, everybody, for participating in this program. We are very much appreciating of your participation for Srila Prabhupada. Please try to send in your Vyas Puja offerings. Even if it's very small, please send it in. You can send it in at our website, HareKrishnaSociety.org, or at my email address at yasoda1008@yahoo.com. That is YASODA1008@yahoo.com, or Vishwakarma Prabhu at bobbyhebert@gmail.com. That's BOBBYHEBERT@gmail.com. Thanks again, everybody, and thank you very much. We hope to see you tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time, California time, corresponding to 10 a.m. Eastern-born Florida and Hamilton, Ontario time. Hare Krishna. Vijay Pandit Prabhu, come va, come va?
Va bene, va bene. Grazie. Little difficult to translate simultaneously. Sometimes very difficult for me, but
yes.
It's okay.
Gradually it will come. Gradually it will come. Gradually.
Okay. Thank you for the benediction and the blessings.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnava Vangsha Sri Rupam Sagrajayatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tang Sajivam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya